Welcome back to Autism Live. It is our great pleasure right now to have with us in the studio Emily Iland and Tom Iland. They are the co-authors of a new book. It's Come to Life, but then let's talk about what the subtitles are and the subtitle for the subtitle, because it's all important. Tom, tell us.
Yes, so it's Come to Life, Your Guide to Self-Discovery, Helping Youth with Autism and Learning Differences Shape Their Futures.
Okay, it's a mouthful, but it's an important mouthful.
Right.
Because we see so often that our kids, let's be honest, I mean, we're at a different age with autism than we've been at any other time, where more has been done, certainly not anywhere near where we need to get, right? But we've got more and more kids that are right in my son's age up through your age, Tom, where they got the benefit of good services. Things are happening for them. They're very capable. There are things that they can do, and yet sometimes making it all be cohesive and getting to the point where they are working a job, liking themselves, liking what they're doing, being in the kind of relationship that they want to be in, sometimes getting all those balls up into the air is really hard. Let's be honest, that's hard for anybody.
Yes.
But for our kids who are on the spectrum, sometimes it feels like it's just not going to happen. And we need to change that whole way of thinking, because it can happen, it will happen, but they need supports like anybody else.
And we want people to believe that they can have the life they want for themselves.
And how, like, think about everything
That's
you just said
important.
there, the life that they want for themselves.
Not what others want for them, but what
Yes.
they want. They own it, they make it happen.
And that's what the book is about, discovering what is the life I want for myself. Who am I? What am I good at? What are my challenges? What do I want for myself?
Yeah.
Because if we don't have that exploration and the answers to those questions, how will they ever get the life they want for themselves?
Right. And as parents, every parent has ideas about what they think they want for their kids, and we have to come to peace with, no, but this is what they want. I think sometimes with folks on the autism spectrum, we as parents, are so on top of it and not always asking the questions about what do you want. But when we do ask the questions, sometimes they don't know how to vocalize what it is that they want. So if we think that they're like, oh, you don't know, let me help you, right? And we miss out on a moment in which they might have been able to vocalize and say, well, what I really want is this.
But sometimes they don't know what they want, and no matter what you ask, the answer is, I don't know.
Right.
And that you can't drive your process forward with that. So that's why the book is about discovering the answers and exploring the answers so that everybody knows what they want.
Right.
And can work towards it. Even if they say they want to be an astronaut, it's okay. You can work towards jobs in that field. And we try to have people have some flexibility of thought. Well, you can only have so many astronauts, but what else do you love about science, and what else is available to you?
Right.
And go see it.
Yeah, amazing. And Tom, you're like the perfect spokesperson for this, the perfect guide, because you were diagnosed with autism at what age?
13.
13 years old. And it's been an interesting ride for you of self-discovery. You were working as an accountant, correct?
Yes, and you were talking about those conversations or people not being able to vocalize what they want. And ultimately, I'm taking responsibility for the life that I want to have. Well, I remember the conversation where I told my parents, I don't want to do accounting anymore. I want to help people with autism full time. And at first, my dad in particular thought I was nuts.
Right.
You worked all this time for a permanent job with benefits, you finally got it, and now you don't want it.
Right.
But my mother finally said to him, who are we to deny him, our son, happiness?
Yeah.
Let him live the life he wants.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much, I mean, let's be honest, that's pretty much every person's journey, right? That was what it was like for me growing up. That I remember my mother wanted me to be a nurse, and that was so not happening, right? I wanted to go to school for theater. And to my mother, that was like crazy. You get your nursing credential and you become an RN, and no thank you.
So that's those expectations that shaped what you thought, what you should do for education, and all the time resisting. And I believe that when we, assume we know what we want for our kids or what they want, they're resisting all
Almost
along.
like it's being imposed on them.
Right.
Exactly.
So they're fighting us because we're not asking the right questions and we're not getting the right answers.
And we're not facilitating the right answers to come up. And I think
Yeah.
that that's really what this book does, is it facilitates the moment in which those answers can come up. And if you're open to hearing them And I think most autism parents are. Really what we want more than anything else is to crawl inside your head and know everything that's going on in there and what you really want, because we want you to be happy. And if we knew what you really wanted, we'd be helping you to work towards that thing. But a lot of times we don't know. Your book creates the pathway which gives them the ability to discover it first for themselves and then to convey it to other people.
Especially in the Be Yourself chapter of the book, in which people with autism are very afraid of change, or they think that having some constructive criticism or suggestion brought to them means there's something wrong with me, forget that.
Right.
And they push it away rather than take it in and weigh their options. But by taking the other opinions and suggestions of others into account, you're still being you. That's being yourself. But these things, when you weigh them out and make the best decision possible, you become your best self. Be yourself and be your best self.
I really think this book is so important, and I'm so excited that you guys have done it. And you said that there is a companion piece coming to it.
Yes. So, I was a professional advocate and helped hundreds of families in my career. And even when I was the president of the Autism Society and he was in transition, I'm like, what happens? Where do we go? Where are the adult services? How do we get help? You feel like you're being pushed off a cliff in the dark.
Yeah.
And it's very frightening. So we've learned a lot the hard way, and we've discovered some great tips that can help people do better transition planning. So the second volume will be Come to Life, Your Guide to Transition. But the prequel is Come to Life, Your Guide to Self-Discovery. Tom's the guide to self-discovery, which has to happen before we can make a good transition plan that's going to get somebody what they want out of life.
And I don't think anybody's really else is talking about that we all start talking about, well, transition, it's transition time, we got to talk about the transition thing. But it's sort of like putting the cart before the horse, because what does the kid actually want?
When we do transition without self-discovery, the kid comes to the table, and no matter what you ask them, the answer is, I don't know.
We've all been there. We've all been there.
So that's why we stepped back and said, how do we help people discover the answers?
Yeah.
So that they can have better quality of life, really.
All right. And again, where we get the book on July 1st.
July 1st at www.thomasisland, that's ILAND.com.
And we'll have some information up on the website pretty soon about it. And it's printed in color by people with disabilities in a work program who are learning job skills. And we made it in color, which makes it a little bit more expensive, but more engaging by far.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And you mentioned that you've been an advocate and then you've been the president of the Autism Society here in Los Angeles. I mean, your resume is so long, and this is not your first book at all. You have several other books. And we talk about Emily all the time. You know, you mentioned that people say to you, how did you get this far? What's your secret? And people say that to me now. Well, part of my secret is that I happened to live in the community where Emily has lived. And Emily went around and changed our community and got things in place so that by the time I came through with my son, there were a bunch of things I didn't have to do. Like, I got to start at step 22 instead of step 1 because you'd already come through like a high
So you're not reinventing the wheel.
There were things that were missing from our community, like a special needs registry, which we put in place with the police. We needed inclusion programs where we bring peers together to know our young people with autism and other disabilities and get them included socially. Being included geographically is not very rewarding if you're lonely and alone in an inclusive setting. So we got the Yes I Can program going and other things that needed to happen. And of course the Be Safe program where we're teaching youth how to interact safely with the police, because how is it possible to leave that to chance? I mean, that's what's happening and it's not going very well.
Yeah. I think we should take a break and come back and talk about some of the other projects that you have going on, in particular, and some of the stuff that you're doing with Be Safe. We talk about Be Safe all the time here on the show because I think it's an amazing program and one that everyone should be taking advantage of, whether you're doing it in cahoots with your law enforcement, which I think is really the best way to do it, or if you don't have your law enforcement already, you got to at least get it for your kiddos. It's a disservice to your kiddo if you don't. So scary, some of the things that can happen otherwise.